Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. As you can tell over my shoulder here, we have a Florida fireplace going on. That's the only kind of fireplace that we get down here for the most part. It is currently a freezing 72 degrees. So, anyways, guys, this is going to be just a fun vlog today. We took a look at some data that came in through lens rentals, and it looked at what is the top brand, what is the top camera, what is the top lenses, and I wanted to go through a little bit and just discuss it with you. I thought it was kind of interesting. I always like to see this report at the end of the year because it gives a general picture of how things are going for the different manufacturers and what are they producing, what aren't they producing, and are the things they're producing doing well? Or do people not care? So let's start out real quick with the top camera brands, right? So the number one position, once again, year after year after year, is Canon. They're coming in at 41.5%. We have Sony now coming in at 26.3%, and Nikon at 15.25%. We have Panasonic at 9.5%, Fuji at 4.25%, Leica at 1.5%, Olympus less than 1%, and Pentax and Hasselblad are lower than that. Now, what I found interesting here is, once again, Sony is just edging out Nikon. Sony's at 26, let's call it 26.25%, whereas Nikon is at 15.25%. That's really interesting. Sony is doing a really, really good job at commanding the ILC market, right? They're doing a really good job. So we have Canon at that 40-some%, looking at about triple the amount of rentals as Nikon. So I've always looked at Canon and Nikon as being two legs on one body, right? One takes a step forward, and then the next one takes a step forward, and then the next one, and the next one, so on and so forth. That's how the market has been moving. But Sony has split those two legs apart, and yeah, maybe I won't get into that. Sony's doing a good job. They're doing a really good job, guys, a really good job. So let's go into some of the cameras and see how the cameras fared. This is always important to see which ones are people even caring about. And some of the ones on this list, you're probably going to be like, what? So the number one camera currently rented for 2018 was the Canon 5D Mark IV. In number two space, you have the Canon 5D Mark III. In the third position, you have the Sony Alpha A7S II. And then in the fourth position, you have the Sony Alpha A7 III. Then we have the Panasonic GH5, the Sony Alpha A7R III, the Nikon D750 in seventh place, and then the Canon 6D Mark II in eighth. Then we have Nikon's D850 in ninth. I want to talk to you guys about that in a little bit. That's ninth. D850. And then finally, we have the Canon 6D, the regular 6D, the older one, in 10th position. Interesting, right? Now, in lenses, this is always important too, to see what are people renting. Now, in lenses, we have Canon coming in number one at 37.25%. We have Sony then next in the second position with 14.5%, and then Sigma at 13%, and then only Nikon coming in fourth position with 9.5%. Then we have Tamron, Fuji, Zeiss, Panasonic, and then a class called Others, where you have Hasselblads and whatnot. So, seeing the top four as Canon, Sony, Sigma, and Nikon. Nikon coming in fourth at 9.5%, and like I said, Canon at 37.25%. A ton of Canon glass. Now, how does the glass break down? We have the Canon 24-70, right? Number one position. That is a couple of years in a row now. I think maybe 2 or 3 years. The Canon 24-70. Really, really strong. The next lens is the Canon 70-200. Those are the two lenses that I would say if you're a Canon shooter, you have to have. If you don't have them, you need to buy them. That's the 24-70 and the 70-200. They're both f2.8s. Amazing, amazing glass from Canon. Next, in the third position, we have Sony with their EF 24-70 also. Really great lens. It is a GM lens, which is their G Master lens. Next, you have the Canon 35mm 1.4, then the Canon 50mm 1.2. That is a beast. That is an amazing, amazing lens. And then we have the Sony 70-200. So once again, we have both Canon and Sony with their 24-70 and the 70-200. Really, really just perfect lenses. On the Sony side, they're both G Master glass, of course. Then we have the Canon 70-200, but the older version, version 1, and then the Canon 100mm macro, then a Canon 16-35 2.8, and finally we have the Canon 100-400 f4.5 to 5.6 for that extreme distance, that telephoto 400. Now, what I found interesting here is they indicated that the biggest increase in growth goes to Sony with their new glass that they keep coming out with. Their Sony EF 24-105, the 16-35, and Sony's 100-400. Now, those three pieces of glass have just experienced the most growth out of any lenses currently out there, even though they're not on the chart yet, but they will be because they're basically new. They can see that growth spurt coming. So when this next list comes out in a year from now, we're going to see a lot of Sony glass, and maybe they'll take on maybe the first or second in the market. Right now, they're in third with that 24-70. Now, where does this all take us? What do we think about all this information? Well, number one, we have Canon that is down 3% year over year currently. They went from 45% down to, let's call it 42%. All right. Now, we have Nikon up by 0.25% from 15% to, let's call it 15.25%. They're up 0.25%. But Nikon just released the D850. That thing came out in September of 2017. Whereas the cameras that Canon are pulling from, which is like the 5D Mark III and the Mark IV, you're talking about August 2016, a whole year prior to. I personally think that Canon being down only 3% is minimal to what I believe Nikon should be up currently, considering the D850, to me, is the number one. I think it is hands down the best DSLR currently on the market. My question is, why are people not renting that camera? Only up 0.25%, having a brand new DSLR, a heavyweight DSLR. Like I said, I think it should be number one. Why are they not doing better? I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's something that I think Nikon's going to have to look at and see what are they doing right and what are they doing wrong. Now, bear in mind, guys, the Canon EOS R, as well as Nikon Z6 and Z7 are not in this list yet, okay? But the preliminary results or the preliminary data that they have over at Lens Rentals is that Canon is currently doubling of what Nikon is. Canon's EOS R is doubling what the Z6 and the Z7 is doing on rentals. I don't know, guys. I don't know. What that means to me is Canon is doing something right. I don't know what they're doing. Okay, I've been a Canon guy forever, but I'm definitely not no fanboy. Okay, I'll throw them under the bus anytime I can because of the stuff that they do. And I don't want to get into it in this video, but I just don't know what they're doing to just hold on to the market the way they are. Number one. Number two, I think it's really great what Sony is doing, that they're able to surpass Nikon in ILCs. From like 15, they're up to 23 or 26%, excuse me. And Nikon is still not being able to grab hold of that market from them. They're still now in third place, whereas they used to be second place all the time, only to Canon. So what is going on? I really don't know, but this information I find to be interesting. I want to know what you guys think. Remember, though, we have Panasonic that's just about out there with the S1, S1R. How is that going to fare? That is a full frame. How are people going to just rent that to suck that thing up? I don't know, but it could be. It might be the case, and now we might see Panasonic get into the game. If Nikon doesn't step it up and we see Panasonic overtake them, I mean, it's just not looking good. I don't know. I don't know what even to recommend. If I was to recommend something to Nikon, they're doing such a good job when it comes to the cameras themselves. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't know. So what do you think about all of this information? It's kind of fun to go through it, but what do you think about the data? How do you distill it? How do you think that things will play out in the next year? Do you feel that Sony's going to maybe pass Canon? Do you think that Nikon might just start picking up sales? Or do you think Panasonic might boost up, maybe even pass Nikon completely? What do you think is going to happen? So, like I said, this is kind of lighthearted. We just had some fun with lens rentals data. I thought it was a fun topic just to be able to talk about. Anyways, guys, all of your information, put in the comment area below. What do you think about it? What's up? Anything that you want me to talk about on this channel going on now, coming up into the new year? I am putting together a calendar. Anything that just moves you, that interests you. What do you want me to talk about? You want me to do some tutorials? Do you like the commentary that I do? Do you want some more newsy stuff? You want reviews? What do you want? Let me know. Because like I said, as the new year comes, I'm having this calendar put together and I'm going to start creating content on a regular basis as I am doing now, maybe 2-3 times a week. And I want to hear from you. So once again, comment area, put those comments, talk to me. I'll talk back. That's it, guys. I'm out of here. Please, if you enjoyed the content, throw me a big thumbs up. That would be stellar and it'll help me out a lot. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you can get all my content when it becomes available, and click the bell icon over here so when it is available, you will be notified of it. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me. That would be awesome. We'll see you in the next vlog. Take care, guys. Happy shooting.